Hello and welcome to another video on our Innovation Explained series. Today we'll talk about generating ideas or ideation. While there's obviously quite a lot more to innovation success than just coming up with new ideas, it always starts from there. And with that, we all know that it can sometimes be quite difficult to come up with those truly novel, really great ideas. It's common for us all to get stuck in our old habits and our old ways of thinking when we want to create something new. So in this video, we'll take a look at a few ways you can generate new ideas more systematically and reliably. Let's get started. First, what do we mean by idea generation? Well, it's basically just a creative process of coming up with new ideas. It will always be part art, but there are also tools and methods you can learn to harness to make it a bit more systematic and thus predictable. If we look at the big picture of innovation management, idea generation is at the very front end of the idea management funnel, where the focus is on coming up with possible solutions to problems and opportunities. This context is important to understand since there are many things that should guide your ideation efforts, the biggest of which is, of course, your strategy. To the question at hand, how can you challenge conventional thinking and come up with novel, out-of-the-box ideas? As mentioned, there are dozens of different tools and techniques for this, but on this video, we'll focus on 3 of our favorites. First, we have idea challenges. An idea challenge is basically a focused form of ideation where you pick a desire, a concern, or an area of improvement with the goal of finding creative solutions to it. The point is to have a large number of people generate ideas around solely that predefined theme for a limited period of time. What this gives you is a lot of input and diverse points of view in a very practical, easy to arrange format. This is usually a great starting point to later develop into more refined final solutions. Next, we have the so-called Scamper Technique. It's a method used for problem solving and creative thinking. It's basically a holistic way to modify ideas, concepts, or processes that already exist. What makes this so useful is that in reality, there's no such thing as a truly novel idea. Every one of them consists from some elements of other previous ideas. So the initials Scamper come from substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse. And basically the way you use the method is to first take some rough idea and then systematically go through each of these 7 steps to make it better fit your specific goals. Last but not least, we have analogy thinking. This means that you use information from one source to solve a problem in another context. It's an easy method of coming up with new ideas that are, at least along certain dimensions, pre-validated. For example, you can analyze a successful business in a similar or adjacent field, identify what made it great, and then apply those same principles to your industry or business. Now, before we wrap up, let's briefly cover what some of the key success factors are for idea generation. First, you should define the problem or opportunity. So if you want to get to the heart of the problem, you need to really understand it well and scope it in a way that makes sense for you. So start by diving deep on the problem and then bring that back to the context of your strategy and your capabilities. Then, for high quality ideas, you also need to involve the right people. You should engage people who not only know the topic inside out, but are also genuinely interested in making a change and contributing towards it. If you do this right, you can actually save a lot of time not having to learn everything the hard way. And last but not least, always set constraints. We often see ideation workshops where you are given completely free rein and are told to just think outside the box. Well, unfortunately, that almost never works. If you describe the challenge in detail and set ambitious goals and have severe constraints on things like time or money, people will be forced to use their imagination to achieve the desired outcome. So, ironically, if you want those infamous outside-the-box ideas, make sure to draw the boundaries of that box clearly. To wrap up, idea generation is a field where there's not just a single right way to do it. All of the techniques we presented earlier have their own strengths, but also weaknesses. You should try many different methods and identify what works for you and your organization in different cases. If you're interested in learning more, we have a more in-depth article on this topic as well as a complete toolkit for running idea challenges on our blog with links to them in the description below. And finally, when you want to take the next step beyond just coming up with ideas to actually driving value from them, you might want to take a look at Viima. Our platform is free for an unlimited number of users, and you can get started with it in just a couple of minutes. We've put a link for you in the description below. That concludes our session for today. If you have any questions, please leave those for us in the comments below, and we'll see you again on the next one.